Yo, yo, yo. You're yo, 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 yo. All right, we got 2 people in here. What is good, y'all? We'll start when we get to about 14 because 19 of y'all said y'all was going to pop up in here. So let's go. What's up, Red? Big Toledo, huh? Y'all tag everybody. Get them in here. There's only 2 of us in here so far. Well, 2 of y'all. Dane's in here. Oh, shit. Dane's in here now. Three people in here. We'll start when we get to about 12 or 13. What's everybody's excitement level for the team, their schools this year, their teams, their situation? Only 3 people in here, bro. Zach said, ready for the Edwards show. You're going to be more excited, very excited. We got 6 people in here now. Sterling said, yo, I'm trying to start when we get a little bit more people in here. What's up, Four Eyes? I'm halfway tuned in. I think a couple of them are watching the Texas State Western Kentucky game. I mean, we could start, I guess, but got some work to do with this team. I don't want to hear nothing from your ass, Rayshawn. You deserve to have a bad season after what you did to me last year. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. There's only 6 people in here. So 19 people said they were going to be in here, and there's a total of 6. So let's go ahead and get started. First slide is the power rankings. Can I maximize it? Hopefully y'all could see. This is the preseason power rankings. Damn, you got to let that go. Never. We have 11 people on the panel who does the rankings. So as you guys can see, I'll just list them from 32 to 1. Fresno State at 32, ECU at 31, SDSU at 30. He's obviously a new user. That's Fred's cousin. Memphis, 29. La Tech, 28. Oregon State, 27. Another new user. Air Force, 26. Miami, 25. Another new user who got a big win today in the game day. Rice at 23. I'm sorry, Western Kentucky at 24. Rice at 23. Delaware at 22. Rutgers at 21. Washington State at 20. UNLV at 19. North Texas at 18. Boise State at 17. Top 16 is Toledo And then Eastern Michigan at 15, South Alabama at 14, Texas State at 13, Wyoming at 12, Tulsa at 11, JMU at 10, FIU at 9, Kansas at 8, Tulane at 7, New Mexico at 6, Utah State at 5, Ohio 4, USF 3, Sam Houston 2, and South Carolina 1. So as you guys can see, there's a point system that's how we do this. What's up, Savage? There's a point system. So 11 people ranked. They're 32. South Carolina, who won it all last season? I didn't see. CPU. Sam Houston lost to CPU in like the second round. South Carolina got 7 first place votes. Sam Houston got 4. So you can kind of see that. But that is going to be the preseason rankings. How we all determined them, the 11 of us, was based on your situation. We didn't factor in last year so much just because it's different situations now. You could have had a team last year that was really, really good, and now your team isn't as good because you didn't recruit well. Or you could have had a really bad team last year, and now you have a really good team this year. So we didn't really factor in last year. And then obviously, like I said, situation, the conference you're in, do we favor you to win your conference, your path to the playoffs, stuff like that. So that's how, the preseason poll shook out. So that was 11 of us. I did the same thing as I did last year with the conference odds. This is going to be a fast show, by the way. The conference odds. So this is how I have the conference title odds for the Sun Belt. I hope I didn't miss anybody in any of these slides because I did it while I was at work. But I have JMU as the favorite to win the Sun Belt at plus 175, with Willie right on his tail at plus 200. So they're obviously very, very close. And then I have La Tech at plus 350. So that's the how I have the odds in the damn Sun Belt. Willie said LMAO. What's funny? Conference USA, I have Pelf as the favorite at minus odds. I forgot there's a boxing match going on here soon. Then I have Westside at plus 175. He obviously lost today in week 0, but that was an out-of-conference game, so he'll be all right. Then I got Fred at plus 225. He's in the middle of playing Texas State right now. Last time I checked, he was down 13-7 or 13-6, one of the two. Then I got Ace at plus 300. Ace is such a wild card just because I think he has the potential to win this conference, but he just hasn't really been able to, find himself yet in this new game. So hopefully he can pull it together because he's one of the better users in the league, but he didn't play like it last season. In the MAC, I have Bish as the slight favorite to win the MAC at plus 150. Then I have Red Smith at plus 200 with Justin Strickland right behind him at plus 225. I think Nick is good enough to compete with everybody in this conference. But I don't know if he has the same advantage because he didn't get to kind of build that first year. He, joined a team that's already been put together. So that's why I have him at 4th. Would I be surprised if he won the conference? No. That's why I have the odds all within plus 200. I think this is going to be the closest conference. And it's going to come down to one of the last games. But yeah, shout out to Nick for joining. Looking forward to having you. Mountain West, I have Sterling as the favorite at plus 150. He had the big win this week against FIU. I got Trill behind him at plus 225. Then I have UNLV at 350 and Air Force at 500. There's a pretty big gap between Wyoming and UNLV, in my opinion. I think it's no disrespect, but I think it's kind of a two-person race in this conference, at least on what we've seen so far. I think Kyle can compete, but we just need to see consistency from Kyle. Obviously, he can beat any one of these 3 users. But can he, sustain it for a whole season and then do it in the big game in Allegiant Stadium? It's kind of yet to be seen. New Mexico obviously won the conference last year against Wyoming in dominant fashion, I believe. So he's my favorite going into the season there as well. Last conference is the American Conference. Matter of fact, no, there's one more conference after this. But the American Conference, I have Dane as a favorite. Plus 150. He has an 87 overall team, tied for the highest overall team in the league. Won the conference last year, was one of 2 users to get into the playoffs. So I think he has a really good chance to win it again and go back to back. And then you have Tulane. Brandon obviously took the Tulane jobs. You have Tulane there, and he's right on his heels. So very, very close. And then obviously you see a big gap between 2 and 3. I do have Berto there at 3 at plus 350, and then Tulsa at plus 400. Tulsa lost, I think, 23-0 against the CPU. I think he's going to have a very rough season this year, just because his team is like a 64 overall. So I don't think Rayshawn is going to have as much success as he did last year, just because he's going to be kind of in the opposite situation, where he's not going to really have the Jimmies and Joes to compete early. He's going to have to kind of figure it out throughout the year. Hopefully when conference play starts, he can kind of, get the train humming again, the ball rolling. But I do have him taking a step back this season, so I have him at plus 400. Then you got Fredo at plus 600, Memphis at plus 1100, and ECU at plus 1200. So that's how I see the Americans shaking out. Then we have the Pac-12. The Pac-12, another very close conference. Everyone between plus 400 or so. I do have Christian as the early favorite at plus 210, and then Franco at plus 250. Weeks with Boise State at 300. Q at plus 350, coming off that loss today against Miami. And then you have the new user and Chris at Oregon State plus 500. SDSU at plus 500, also new user, and then Shane at plus 600. So this is another one of those conferences where it's kind of like, if Shane were to beat Weeks and Oregon State and SDSU, it's kind of like you're not like, oh my gosh, but like if Utah State were to go and lose to 4 or 5, users, you're kind of like, wow. So I just think there's a lot that can happen in this conference. There's a lot of parity in this conference. 7 of the 8 teams are controlled by users. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. In the Pac-12, you also have teams who play each other twice. So I'm excited to see, does Utah State and Texas State have to play twice this year? Does Boise State and Utah State have to play twice this year? I think that playing twice thing can really hurt, especially if you have to play against somebody twice that kind of has your number. Because let's say hypothetically Utah State is, dominating the conference, but for whatever reason, Texas State just seems to know how to beat them. If Texas State goes and beat Utah State twice, it doesn't really matter if Utah State can beat everybody else in the conference. So very tricky. But I do like this conference. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of action. Moving on, this is the last part of the show. Like I said, it's going to be a quick show. Is the playoff odds. So I did the top 16 and then I did other. So if you're not on this list, hopefully I didn't miss anybody that's glaring, but if you're not on this list, I deem to you to be in the other portion. And I based it off of situation, the team you're in, your path to the playoff, and kind of, I assume that we're going to get like 4 users in the playoffs this year, maybe 5. So I based it on 4 users. I think South Carolina, obviously I'm in the SEC. It's going to be hard for me not to make it in starting in the top 10 as well, unless I were to lose all my user games and then lose, to somebody in conference. But I think if hypothetically you were to lose, if I was to lose to all 3 out of conference users and finish 9-3 and then win the SEC, I still think I'd get in the top 12. So that's why I have myself as the favorite to get in the playoffs. Sam Houston right behind me. I'm obviously minus odds as well. He started in the top 25 as well. He was in like number 90 or number 100 as we started last season. So he doesn't have to do much to get to that top 12. He would have to lose probably 3 games to not make it to the playoffs at this point. So I think he's a solidified pick to get in as well. Then you have where, you get into plus odds, plus money. USF at plus 250. I think he has a favorable schedule. He obviously plays me and Sterling out of conference, but let's say hypothetically, absolute worst case scenario, he loses to me and Sterling. If he goes 10-2 and wins the conference, he's going to get in because we saw Army at 10-2 last season, and we saw Tulsa at 10-2 last season, all with a chance to get in. So he would have to go 9-3 in order, to not have a shot to get in. And I don't know if I can see that happening with the, the team that he's put together. New Mexico at plus 300, another team that's right outside the top 25. Big win this week against FIU. And I think, like I said, he's my favorite to win the Pac-12. The Mountain West. So again, he would have to go 9-3 to not get in. I think a 10-2 New Mexico team would definitely get in, especially if he's in the conference championship. Then you have Tulane. Obviously, Brandon took Tulane. They're a top 50 team, I'm pretty sure. His biggest question mark is going to be, can his connection hold up against, these users? And then obviously he has a lot of good CPU opponents. So it's going to come down to the American Championship and kind of how they favor the American over some of these other conferences. But I have him at plus 350 with the 5th best odds. Then I have Kansas at plus 450. Obviously Zach is in the Big 12 by himself. He has one of the better teams, but my concern with Zach is he going to be able to beat CPU? Because I think if you can't win your conference, it doesn't matter if you go 10-2 or 9-3. So I think you have to win your conference, and that's where it kind of gets shaky for Zach. Because I don't know if he can, run the table against a CPU slate. We'll see. I mean, if he does, then he proved me wrong. But I'm at plus 450, which is still the 6th best odds to get in. I got JMU tied with those odds at plus 450. Obviously, he was my favorite to win the Sun Belt. I think he's going to start pretty high ranked as well, probably in the top 50 or so. So he doesn't have to do much to climb up as we had to last year. And he also has a very, very easy schedule, like an extremely easy schedule. So I'd be surprised if he wins less than 10 games. I mean, if he's 10-2 with the chance at the conference championship, he should be right outside the top 12, between 15 and 25. So you just need something to happen in front of him. Then I got Utah State at plus 500. Obviously, my favorite to win the Pac-12, but I do think the Pac-12 is going to be the toughest conference to call. So when you're in the toughest conference to call, a lot of cannibalism can happen. Like I said, you get a situation where Franco beats him twice, or Boise State beats him twice, or whatever the case may be. So that's why I have him at the 8th best odds. You got Willie at South Alabama, my runner-up in the Sun Belt Conference as far as odds go. I think one thing has to happen for Willie. All he has to do is take care of business against the CPU. Obviously, he lost to ULM last year. And then if he could just go 3-1 out of conference and win the Sun Belt, then he's in. Now, the only reason why I say all you have to do that is because you obviously play the same users, both MAC teams, and no sight of the Bobcats. Okay, thank you for telling me that. So that's what I was saying earlier. And it's crazy. I had the other commissioners fact check. So I'm gonna steer, and I'm gonna throw Ohio in here. I'm gonna say I would put Ohio around Kansas and JMU. I think you have higher odds, and the reason why I said I know I messed up is because I have you winning your conference, and I have Toledo and Eastern Michigan on that list. So I left you out on accident. But this is what I said earlier. I was doing this at work, so I would have you between Tulane and Kansas, around that area. But yeah, moving on. FIU plus 650, Toledo plus 650. I have all of you guys at the same odds. I'd probably move you guys down a little bit because I forgot to put Bish in. And again, it's funny. I made this graphic like 4 times. The first time I forgot Westside. One time I forgot Fred. Lo and behold, I didn't have Bish on here the whole time. And Brandon, Sterling, and Zach all co-signed it too. And they all said I don't see anything. So that's the crazy part. So it ain't just me. But yeah, I have all of them tied with the same odds. I have Tulsa at plus 750. I'm going to be honest, though. Rayshawn, if you're in here, this is no disrespect, but the way you looked against CPU and how bad your team is, you'd probably fall out of my top 16 after this week, and B should probably slide in. Obviously, this is a preseason ranking, so I'm not factoring that in, but knowing what do I know now, halfway through week 0, that's what I would do. Then I have the same odds for Eastern Michigan, Western Kentucky, and Wyoming, all at plus 800. I could see all these guys getting in. I just favor everybody else above them because of situation. And kind of, Western Kentucky, he just got to that job. He couldn't recruit. He couldn't do, build that team. I think Wyoming has his hands full with Sterling. That New Mexico team is like an 81 overall, I believe, or 79 overall, with one of the best offensive lines that we have in the league right now. So he has his hands full. And I also think Sterling just knows how to play Trill as far as that Wildcat goes. I think he went 2-0 against him last season. So Trill would have to change some stuff up to kind of jump him. And then you have Eastern Michigan, who had a rough start last season, but he's capable of winning that conference for damn sure. Sterling playing like a bad, yeah, I know. So I have him at plus 800, and then I have other at plus 1400. We're going to be doing this every single weekend. So next weekend, I'm going to update the playoff odds through what it'll be like week 3 or week 4, whatever we're at. Same thing as the conference title odds. Like I said, it's going to be a quick show, 20 minutes. This is what I wanted. If there's anything else that you guys want us to cover, I don't really want to do like Heisman odds because like you don't know who's going to cheese running backs and stuff like that. So there's no point to do that. But I think conference title odds, power rankings, and playoff odds make the most sense. I like that. I like that style of so season 3 in 2 weeks. Yeah, right. Probably like 3 or 4. I like that style of doing it, but let me know what you guys think. But yeah, man, that's gonna wrap up the live show. I'll see you on the chat. Dane, we can play in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let me fold this laundry real quick before I get my ass whooped. But I'll see y'all in the chat. That's gonna wrap up the live show. Good luck this season, boys.